Welcome to the In Cobb We Trust podcast, and today we are interviewing Christina Rogers, candidate for school board in Marietta, Ward 6. That true?
Yes,
I got it
Ward
right.
6.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And right off the top of the bat,
Yes.
why school board?
Well, first, because I'm a mom to 2 kids that are in public schools.
How old?
They are 13 and 15.
Okay. All right.
yeah,
So teenagers. Okay.
Yeah, teenagers. We've been in Marietta schools since the beginning. So I actually moved here when my oldest was a year old.
Okay.
And my youngest was born here. We moved from Atlanta up here. And when we moved...
From where?
From Atlanta.
Oh, from Atlanta. I was like, sorry, the way I went out. I was like, well, we're in Atlanta. No, we're in Marietta. From Atlanta, yeah.
This is not Atlanta.
So 14 years ago.
Yeah, so I lived in East Atlanta for many, many moons, longest I ever lived. I grew up a military brat, so I've lived all over the world.
Okay.
Landed in Georgia when my dad retired from the Army. I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
We lived south of the airport.
Okay.
Back where all the Delta people moved to, Fayetteville and Peachtree City.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated high school from Fayetteville and then moved up to Atlanta on my own when I was 18 and lived there for 30 years.
Okay.
No, less than 30 years because I was 30 years when I moved up here. So, so 20 years, and then moved up here when we had kids after 2008, when kind of the collapse in the housing.
I remember that.
All that stuff was happening.
I was a med student at the time.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in nursing school at the time.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and we had just had our first in 2010.
Okay.
So everything was kind of shaky ground everywhere around us. And my husband at the time, his family lived in Marietta. And so we moved up here to get help from the in-laws in raising the kids. And I'm very diligent on doing my research on where I moved to, what I want for schools. And so I really researched the area of what schools I thought would be good for my kids. I wanted them to go to public schools. That was important to me. It was also important to me that they be exposed to different cultures.
So what I'm hearing is you had the option potentially of sending people to private school, your kids to private school or public school, and you made the conscious decision to send them to public school. Yes. One of the benefits being exposed to a diversity of people.
Diversity, culture, income, thought beliefs, just being exposed to a diverse amount of people. Growing up in the military, I went to the Department of Defense schools. And I don't know if you've looked at the population that is in military, generally tends to be a very diverse group. For me growing up, everybody was white, black, brown, yellow, whatever, all mixed together. It was never a thing. It didn't become obvious to me that it was a thing until I moved to Georgia, where I was like, why are we not sitting at the same table? Why is one group over here and the other group over here? So that was really kind of a culture shock for me when I moved back to the States as a kid and moved specifically to Georgia. So as I got older, I realized I wanted my kids to have the safety and security of being brought up in one school system and not having to bounce around and move around a lot like I did. But I also wanted them to be exposed to different cultures and different thoughts. So that they had a well-rounded education. Right. Marietta City Schools has the option in some of their elementary schools of having an international baccalaureate program.
I'm an IB grad.
Yay! And so that to me was very, very enticing. We also have the MCAA, the Marietta Center for Advanced Academics, which was a STEM school. It's 3rd through 5th grade. And it's for kids. Really, it ends up being for more of your neurodivergent kids that need like that extra stimulus and are kind of one mind focused for them to go to that school. And so I saw the different opportunities in Marietta City Schools, and I was like, this is where my kids need to go. And so moved up here, and we've been up here ever since. Unfortunately, things, have changed over the years, over the past almost 7 years, 8 years, things have changed and gotten a little dicey here in Cobb County, Marietta, just because of the politics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take my kids out of their school system.
Mm-hmm.
I want to support the school system. I want it to continue to do the great work that it's done over the years and stay steady in that and not be influenced by outside sources or be pushed to political pandering. Does that make sense?
I mean, absolutely. let me just kind of jump right in there
Yeah.
because political pandering, I think book bans really come to mind when it comes to school boards, Marietta, and across the country, and even across the county. And I wonder, especially in Cobb County, good Lord, what is it about book bans that is most abhorrent to you?
Well, I mean, just the banning of thought. That's, when it comes down to, let me backtrack that. The book banning that's going on, first of all, it's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It was never necessary to begin with. It was started with an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
The group that has been behind a lot of the push for book banning was the group that formed back during COVID when they were mandating masks for kids in schools. And so a group I think it was started in Florida. It's the Moms for Liberty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they got together and had big support for parental choice. Parental rights was their platform. And they didn't want kids to have to wear masks at school. So that's where they started. And then they got this big backing, a lot of money towards them. And then they turned their focus on books and banning books that did not conform to their Judeo-Christian belief system.
Yeah, really authoritarian government stuff,
Yes,
right? Like,
exactly.
You can't read this. I mean, there's a reason there's Fahrenheit 451 there.
Right. So they did that, and this was something that really pushed me to get involved in the school board. I was one of those people, like, I knew there was a school board. I didn't know exactly to what extent they had control over anything that the schools did. So that was kind of opening my eye to what the school board can and cannot do and I did not think the book banning would come to Marietta City. I was like, surely our little school system, it's not going to come here. Surely they'll just overlook us and move on to Cobb County or wherever else.
No such luck.
No. They came for us too. And when we, as parents, went to the school board and when some of the parents spoke up against it, they kind of just got ignored. And that was very frustrating as a parent. And it was very scary. It still is very scary because I have 2 kids who are free thinkers, who don't conform to norms. And this book ban directly affected them in the way that they get treated by their peers.
Oh, really?
And this sounds far-fetched, but it's not. So most of the books that were banned have LGBTQ plus content in them. And that was one of the reasons that they were picked, because a lot of the content they said was sexually explicit. But if you look through many, many books, many history books, many books all over, all different genres, you're going to find something that you can call sexually explicit. But they specifically picked books that were for LGBTQ plus students or people. And those were the books that they banned. So it was targeted.
Right.
And because of that targeting, you get, and this is why I say I'm hesitant to talk about it, because I don't want more focus on it so that there's more talk about it in the news, because I don't want that to reverberate to the kids who have to deal with the backlash over that. So even mentioning LGBTQ plus books and bans and stuff with the school system, you get, the 1 or 2 people out there in the community that are anti-LGBTQ or anti-transgender, or whatever they want to call it. They're the ones that are going to speak out the loudest. And unfortunately, those kids that fit that LGBTQ definition are the ones that are going to get the backlash for it, because they hear us talk. They see the news, they hear the reports, they read it, and their classmates hear their parents talk about it. So they bring that into the classroom.
I think one of the books, I don't know if it was necessarily in Marietta or somewhere else. It was like, it's a book that I read to my kids. Like it takes, or some two to tango, or, and it's about these, about like the penguins in Central Park. Right.
Uh-huh.
And, I read that book to my sons just to normalize, like, listen, there's
Right.
families can be different. Right. Yeah. It's not a matter of like, gender. It's just a matter of who's a family, who do you love, and how do you make a life together. And when you said freedom of thought, I think that's exactly what it is. It's like the party that used to want you to be a free thinker, right? The Republican Party has gone full authoritarian.
Yes.
Where even reading a book is anathema to them. Like, you can't read it because somebody is grooming you. When, to be honest, they're the party that excuses sexual predators. Hello, Epstein list, Epstein list, Epstein list. Like, come on. And it's funny because I'm sure there are some Democrats on that list potentially, right? Like, it's already been out there on there. But it's curious that Donald Trump and his ilk have decided to run on that platform. Right. And so I make that point to be like, they're in no fucking position. I know I said I wasn't going to curse, but it comes out. They're in no fucking position to talk about protecting children. No. Because not only when it comes to banning books, but also gun reform and gun control.
100%. Yeah.
Like, they can't lift a finger to study gun violence. They can't lift a finger to protect our children. I mean, their stupidest thing that we hear is, it's only a good guy with a gun that can protect from bad guys with a gun. And I'm like, yo, how dumb are you people? Like, when we had an assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down.
Right. Yeah.
Like, right. I mean, this is kind of like a tangent, but I think it's worth it. They are going to be like auditing Medicare and Medicaid to see like different diagnoses, but they better be careful, because what if people use this database that they're creating of people that maybe shouldn't have a gun? Right? Like, right. I think that if they want to play that game, they can play that game. But to get back on topic, sorry.
Yes. No, it's okay.
I don't think that the Republicans can be trusted to protect children.
No, not at all. No, I agree with you.
They're it's like the GOP, right? Guardians of predators. That's probably what I would say at this point. And they've lost all credibility in my mind. Yes. And let me bring it back. Like, what do you think was the moment that you decided, hey, I'm going to go from citizen to running for elected office?
So I've been involved with politics and local politics, and I've gone to like our board meetings or city council meetings. I go to all those. I try to be an informed citizen of what's going on around me, my community, and to participate. And then when I found out that Carrie Minerva, who holds the position now that I'm running for, that she was no longer going to run, I went to all the different community stakeholders and just said, hey, who's running? I wanted to know. Because I wanted to make sure that we were not going to get another member on the school board that was going to say yes to these changes. Not only the changes that have happened, but the possible changes that could come up in the future that we are not yet aware of. I wanted someone that had a backbone that could stick to their values and beliefs and protect the children, instead of caving to political special interests, specifically like Christian national interests, especially when a lot of the Christian nationalist GOP focus has been on schools. Texas has the 10 Commandments now that they're posting at school, on top of all the book bans. And so, not to mention that, they're trying to change up the curriculum and what we teach people. We can no longer in Georgia teach divisive concepts.
I know, it's such bullshit.
Like, what is a divisive concept?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share this one quote. This is what I've been dying to tell you all day. As it comes to divisive content, I thought about my kids being in the school. I know this is a tangent. You asked me about why I was running, but this is what we couldn't find anybody else.
Okay.
There was nobody else if anybody else was going to do this, I was going to throw my support behind them 100%. But we could not find anybody who was willing to do it. So I said, I will do it. And the reason is I want my children to have a good quality education. I don't want them to be influenced. I don't want them to be thought patrolled.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to have access to history, the information, and be able to make decisions on their own
Mm-hmm.
so that they can compete in the world at large
Mm-hmm.
when they graduate. One of the things I got concerned about with the schools, and especially, following in Texas footprint, where the GOP, the Christian Nationalists, are trying to actually change some of the curriculum. Though the school board doesn't have a whole control over curriculum, we do have some say in it. Trying to change the curriculum that they are teaching in school. So the divisive concept thing is the first step in that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't talk about things a certain way because it might upset somebody. So this book came to my attention recently because on Friday, my kids had their first day back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter was, my daughter, who is in 10th grade, was excited. She came back and she's like, "Hey, Mom." She's like, "Guess what we're reading in school this year?" And I said, "What?" She's like, "Trevor Noah's book." And I was like, "Oh, I have that book." And she said that her teacher asked the class, "Had anybody ever heard of Trevor Noah or heard of his book?" And she was the only one in the class that was like, "Yes, I have."
Proud mom moment.
Yes. I was like, yeah. So Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. So I just grabbed it off the shelf the other day because I was like, oh, let me look through it, for my daughter and give it to her so she can read it. And I opened up to this page and I just wanted to read this. And this is in reference to what we are taught in school. And this is what he has to say. In Germany, no child finishes high school without learning about the Holocaust. Not just the facts of it, but the how and the why and the gravity of it, what it means. As a result, Germans grow up appropriately aware and apologetic. British schools treat colonialism the same way to an extent. Their children are taught the history of the empire with a kind of disclaimer hanging over the whole thing. Well, that was shameful, wasn't it? In South Africa, the atrocities of apartheid have never been taught that way. We weren't taught judgment or shame. We were taught history the way it's taught in America. In America, the history of racism is taught like this. There was slavery, and then there was Jim Crow, and then there was Martin Luther King Jr., and now it's done.
Right.
It was the same for us. Apartheid was bad. Nelson Mandela was freed. Let's move on. Facts, but not many, and never the emotional or moral dimension. It was as if the teachers, many of whom were white, had been given a mandate. Whatever you do, don't make the kids angry. I was like, there's your divisive concepts. Don't make them angry. Don't teach them what really happened so that they have an ethical, emotional feeling about it.
And, I 100% agree because it's this confluence of Christian nationalism with white supremacy and its influence on what we learn. And I think I was in the IB program at Campbell High School. And I remember vividly, it was 9th grade. And our 9th grade teacher made us watch part of Amistad and the beginning part where they're on the ships. And that I'm glad that it wasn't hidden from me.
Yeah.
Right. We learned about the Trail of Tears. We learned in graphic detail what was done, but that is not a ubiquitous form of education because it was an international baccalaureate, meaning the curriculum was international. Right. And it's this hiding, right? Like, I mean, we joke about it from kind of our perspective. Like it's, a lot of white people are snowflakes, right? Like they can't handle the truth of if you had to kind of discern. People think that minorities, immigrants, Black people have this innate violence, but when you look at which group is the most violent, it's hard to make any other conclusion than it's white people in this country that have propagated the most amount of violence. Yep. And until we can actually accept that, how do we move on?
We don't.
Or how do we move forward? I don't know. Move on. We don't, right? Like we don't. Maybe that's the point of what they're trying to do.
Well, I think it is the point. With tangent again with the ICE raids, scaring people that are immigrants into hiding. We are trying to whitewash everything. They are. The GOP is trying to.
And you've set out
take diversity out
to take a fight against that because nobody else would step up. So thank you, number one, in your ward. And What have you learned throughout kind of starting this process up until now in terms of did your kind of message change, or what you're trying to fight for change, or what did you learn about this whole process, and potentially even who you're up against and the people that you're up against?
Uh, First, I learned there's a community here that I did not know existed of like-minded people that have the same values as I do,
Hmm.
who want the same things as I do, and that there's a lot more people that are progressive than I initially believed. I initially thought I was on an island by myself talking to the wind, but have since found that majority of people in this district, in Marietta City proper, are progressive, are left leaning, and have the same values that I do and want the same things that I do.
Hmm.
And do not want this influence that has come in to our school system. So that was my big first lesson, and that was amazing. Like, there's nothing that makes you feel better, but to know that you're not screaming into the wind.
Yeah, you're not
There's
alone.
somebody
Right?
who's
There
actually
are people that are
screaming
like
with
you,
you.
right?
Yeah. I also learned that there's a lot of people in our school. There's a lot of good teachers. There's a lot of good staff. There's a lot of good people in our school district and school system who are fighting from the inside as well. And so
Mm.
that made me feel good, and I want to be there to support them um, on the school board.
Hmm.
So those were big things for me to learn. As far as changing my opinion or my thoughts on things, nothing really has changed too much. I'm learning more about how the school functions
Hmm.
and getting more excited about the possibilities of things that we can do to better it for our kids. So
You have an
that,
example?
so I talked about the magnet school that we have for math science for third through fifth grade. There's also I talked to the superintendent, about the possibility of maybe having one that's a liberal arts version of that
Hmm.
for kids that maybe don't excel across the board but excel in the arts,
Hmm.
and that's a way for them to move up as well. Um, we talked about extending our focus on literacy into the high school because we focused on the elementary age. Actually, we focused on babies up to the elementary age, and now we're talking about moving it into the high school and really focusing on that and helping the community too. So our English second language learners,
Hmm.
helping them in the community as well. Aspects of moving out into the community from the school and having the school be like your base, and how can we help our families in the community do better for themselves, how can we support them as
Hmm.
well. So there's so many things that a school system can do for the community that are great opportunities for us,
Hmm.
and so I'm excited to find ways to make that happen.
One thing I'm a proponent of is better financial literacy.
Yes.
From starting from I would say even argue middle school, right, and going all the way up into high school, because so many people are not financially literate,
Yes.
and it really allows them to be targets for unscrupulous actors, right? Let me also bring up, you're running against what seems like a team effort.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, yes, and I can't say for certain because I'm
Okay.
not in their purvey.
Hmm.
But there's a old Marietta that seems to boost each other up, and one moves out of a position, another one of their buddies, coworkers, moves into the position,
Hmm.
and it's keeping the status quo,
Right.
and it's not allowing for progress to happen.
I think, yeah, they're the same people that want the Daughters for Confederacy sign that's in Marietta Square behind there, that talks about the Federal Raiders, right? That's actually still there. There,
Yeah,
it is in Marietta Square.
yeah,
You can go see it, and it's this idea that they don't want people to change. They don't want things to change. They
no,
want it to be the way it was when, they were ostensibly on top, so to speak,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
And it's just kind of part of this. I think it's a local manifestation of this nationwide effort to roll back the clock, make America great again. I don't know when it was that great, depending on who you want to talk to.
No.
And so let me ask you this, because you said that you went to nursing school.
Yeah, I did.
Tell me a little bit more about that, your career.
So nursing is my second career.
Okay.
Prior to being a nurse, I worked at Zoo Atlanta for 11 years. I have a degree in biology and chemistry.
Okay.
I was a wildlife biologist there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, my son would go ask all sorts of questions. Yeah.
I worked in mainly with our birds. Bird population is where I worked. In the beginning, I did a lot of education, science teaching at the zoo there, and then got more focused into our bird department, and I was over our bird propagation center. Basically, every day of my life was like a Disney movie. I lived right next to the zoo. I got to walk there,
Oh, wow.
Go into the bird aviaries. They fly down at me, feed them. It was.
So it's not just made up in the movie.
No, it was legit, like living a Disney movie every day. And then I got to talk to kids about my favorite things in the world, which were like animals and conservation work and what they could do in the world. And it was just fantastic. It was so wonderful. It was my dream job. Unfortunately, that dream job does not pay a dream wage. And I knew when I was starting my family that I couldn't. When I worked at the zoo, I always had to work second jobs to make the ends meet. So, I'd work at the zoo, wait tables in the evening, have different things that I would do to try to just to be able to pay rent and put food on the table. And I knew once I got married and had a family that I wouldn't be able to keep doing that second job. So between me and my husband, we were both working all the time. We wanted to start a family. So I took that opportunity after I had my first kid to go back to school for nursing.
Okay.
So I went back, and because I already had a degree in biology, I got my associates in nursing. And then I started labor and delivery. And I did that for about 6 years and then transferred over to the NICU, the neonatal ICU. So I work there now. And I'm currently in school finishing up getting my second bachelor's in nursing right now. So I'll have two
BSN.
Yeah, BSN. So 2 bachelors in nursing, or 2 bachelors in.
I always enjoyed labor and delivery. Low risk, low risk labor
not the high risk
not
stuff.
the high risk stuff. That was too hairy for me. But because I delivered during my family medicine residency in medical school, I think 80 babies in that time. And I always enjoyed prenatal care too, in the office and developing relationships with moms and this trust over time. And I remember I would tell moms, I'm like, all right, who do you not want in the room? You want me to be the bad guy? I'll be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And just kind of as an aside, I remember one time I was in San Diego and I was an intern my first year. And actually it was my second year, and the labor and delivery floor calls. We had one of our patients up there. She was laboring. They're like, you got to get up here right now. I'm like, why? What's going on? She's like, we're having a drama situation.
Oh, no.
So I go up there and it was this young patient. She had her boyfriend there. They had gotten pregnant, and the dad was not having it with this boyfriend. Just wasn't happening. They were arguing, and I had to go and tell the dad. I'm like, listen, I don't know what this is like for you. I can't imagine what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But the one thing we can't we cannot have happen is this shouting match. And I don't want security to kick you out. I don't want you to miss this beautiful time with your family. And at the same time, I get it. I'm not telling you not to feel that way. And, had to kind of navigate our way through that. But I always found myself, there are other family medicine residents that never like labor and delivery. But I found it great, right? As long as you could hang out with the nurses, right? You had to prove to them
100%
that one, you were competent, that you weren't a threat to patients, but two, did you have the the social skills to be able to navigate that environment, because labor and delivery is female dominated.
Yes.
And I was a male. Yes. And of course my experience as a male was different than my female co-residents, right? But I always enjoyed, it was like a challenge.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, I'm going to get you guys to like me.
So you were on the right path.
They liked me. So like when I was a chief, when I was when I was like a senior resident, I would walk on, they're like, hey, Dr. Chena, blah, blah, blah. And then my interns would be like, oh, okay, like this isn't so scary. Because they will
eat you alive. We will.
If you are not competent, if you show, if you're not, I wouldn't say like deferential, but just like
ask
respectful,
questions,
right?
Yeah.
Like respectful, ask questions, include people as part of the team, know that you work as a team, say please and thank you. Like never talk down to anybody. I thought you could do okay, right?
Yeah. When they started the residency program at Kennestone when I was in labor and delivery there. So I remember the first group of residents coming in, and I'm like, oh, this isn't too bad. There's like 4 to 6, or there's 6 to start with, and only 4 remained, and I was like, oh, they're not too bad. And then the next year they brought more. I was like, oh, wait, you guys aren't leaving, and you guys are coming in. The next year was more. By the 4th year, I'm like, there's a lot of you guys here.
It's a lot. It is a lot, and the training environment. There's a lot coming at you. I think one of the questions I always have, I took those lessons away from L&D, and I apply that even now.
Yeah.
What lessons from L&D do you think that you take and apply that to school board? Is there any overlap there?
I mean, of course there is, because in L&D, you're taking care of the whole family. You are taking care of the mom, you are taking care of the baby, but you also have the husband who's upset, the mother-in-law who's pissed at somebody because they won't do something, the aunt who is labor and delivery nurse 20 years ago who knows how to do your job.
Right.
You're having to manage all these different things. You have, the patient's their program for delivery, their birth plan. Thank you. And then you have the physician who wants to do something a different way. And you've got, your anesthesia tech who can only make it at a certain time. So you're having to balance all these different voices. And they're not just like voices. They are like, I need attention right now voices. And so it's definitely a skill set that you have to be able to navigate all that and navigate that well. You can navigate that and piss off half the people, but to be able to navigate that well and to have a good outcome and to have that family, the family member that was ready to punch you before everything happened, come up to you afterwards and say, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for everything you do. You're the best person in the whole wide world. That to me, gave me an opportunity to see what all those different roles, like everybody in that room wants the same thing.
You're right. The best thing for their patient.
Right. Everybody wants the same thing. It's the same with the school board, or all the parents around the school board, even the GOP people. They want what's best for the kids. They all want the same thing. And it's just a matter of navigating all of them and showing and learning and
listening,
and listening. And then applying what the best thing is for the kids.
I mean, so like essentially what you're saying, what I'm hearing, I think, is you have to take input from a variety of sources, make them feel heard, which is like reflective listening, on making sure that, okay, like, listen, I understand what you are saying. Communicate in different ways to different people in a way that ultimately moves the plan of care forward.
Correct.
And tries to piss the fewest amount of people off. Sometimes you can't win every single battle, but that's interesting. I never put that together as part of what you do as school board, but I think it is. You have to listen, and it doesn't feel like people listen right now. I think that's what's so frustrating. It's like, listen, hey, we're saying something, you're just ignoring us,
right?
Because you think you can, because you think that it doesn't matter. Our voices don't matter because you're going to win the election because you gerrymandered everything anyway.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
That's exactly how,
And the only way you make them listen is to like send a message. Be like, no, fuckers, like, yo, we're going to vote you out.
Right.
So unless you listen to us, we will vote you out. And I think that's the only way they listen.
Yeah.
And with, a couple more questions.
Okay.
What do you think Marietta City Schools is missing?
We're a very small, not very small, they're smaller school districts, but we're a small school district. We can do some very amazing progressive things if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
It would not take very much.
Mm-hmm.
It would just take, hey, this is a great idea. Let's do it. Okay, how do we do it? Okay, that's how. Let's do it. And I think we need people that are willing to take that risk, to try new things, to move the ball forward, to take some inspiration from maybe more of our international schools and how they deal with social emotional learning, how they support the students, how they get them moving forward. There are things in process right now that are starting in Marietta City Schools that I think are great and that we can make even better. Mm-hmm. We have a large population of Hispanic or immigrant kids in our school system. Some of those kids are not documented. We don't care. Like you
Right.
come into the school, we don't ask what your status is. That is inconsequential.
Like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
To educate a mind.
Right.
Doesn't
It does
matter.
not matter at all. The problem is when they get out of school, what are they going to do? Mm-hmm. They can't get a job because if they don't have papers or whatever, they can't get a job. So the school is working to give them opportunities while they're in high school to get their college degree. Take classes while they're there to work towards getting at least their associates, at least get their foot in the door so they can go directly into a university. So when they get out of that university, they have a degree, they have the capability to get a job and get their papers and get everything in line. So I think that is great. We are a stepping stone for our community. And we have a way to keep those hard workers here and to help them find a pathway.
Yeah, immigrants make this country great, goddammit.
Yes.
Yes. I'm tired of hearing this stupid shit.
Right.
We're the best.
Right.
So with the last question, and it's something I ask every patient's family in the hospital when they're sick, as part of my interview, about what brings meaning in their life. What brings meaning in your life?
The whole experience of being a human. I'm not a huge religious person, but I truly believe in the beauty of just existing and being in this wonderful world and having experience, be it good or bad. It's an experience to have I've never had before. And, getting to see the clouds look different today than they did yesterday, or getting to, walk with my kid down the street is just that. Life is about experiences, and having the opportunity to have those experiences is a blessing in itself. So every day to me is like, I get to have this day. I know that's very cheesy, and I'm not that cheesy, but
no, honestly, not at all. And I think it aligns with me in the sense that, like, people ask me, like, how are you doing today? I'm like, great. My feet hit the ground.
Yeah.
Right. And like because I have seen so much death, I think partly you work in the NICU, life is so fragile.
Yeah.
It really is fragile. And the appreciation for being able to live, and just being grateful, for the opportunity to take a breath, to see the sunshine, to be able to walk. I mean, the small things that so many people take for granted.
And I think for me, it's even more poignant. It was about 4 years ago that I was diagnosed with acoustic neuroma, vestibular schwannoma. So it's a benign brain tumor, very small, but can have,
consequences,
very big consequences. I luckily got great healthcare, was able to go to San Diego, have it removed by experts.
That's where I trained. Yeah, UCSD.
So that's where I went to go have my brain surgery.
Okay.
So in that process, I lost my hearing. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to go through some very traumatic things for that. But it gave me a perspective from going from being the nurse, the mom, the person in charge, to being the patient.
Yeah.
Was a huge learning experience for me.
Absolutely.
Totally opened my eyes to so many things. And I think it just, I always felt that way about being blessed for every day that I have. But even after that, it kind of just solidified it even more. Like, I cannot take anything for granted at all, not a moment. And so I want my kids to know that I did everything in my power to give them the life that they deserve, to give them the opportunities that they deserve, that they should have. I want them to tell their kids, their grandkids, your mom did this. My mom did this. She fought for this, and she was on the right side of history.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to leave for them. I don't want them to say, "Oh yeah, my mom, she drank some wine and cooked some dinner. She was a nurse and she did that." No, I want them to know that I cared enough to put my foot out there.
Well, thank you so much.
welcome.
Christina Rogers, School Board, Ward 6 in Marietta. Vote November 4th.
Yes,
Thank you for
please.
coming on.
Thank you for having me.